you may use but at the time of find it Imam Arba, four Imam say it is sunnat and not wajib. The Zahiriya say that it is mutlaq and wajib. Then the other in Hanabila, sunnat of wuzu and a sunnah of salah. Just as it's sunnah that to use it at the time of wuzu, it is sunnah to use it at the time of salah. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmallah says it's sunnah of wuzu only, not a sunnah of salah. However, there is one qawl in the Hanafi mazhab which says mustahab at the time of salah. Like that, they say there's 5 times when using the miswak is the mustahab. In the when the teeth become yellow, in other words, when you brushing the teeth, right? At the time of the mouth smelling, at the time of standing up from sleep, at the time of standing up to salah, and at the time of wuzu. All right. Then if we look at now this ikhtilaf here amongst Imam Shafi and Imam مع كل وضوء عند كل صلاة مع كل صلاة. So obviously now that wuzu that is both agreed here, right? Now in the kulli salatin, you can say in the meaning of close to the time of salah, which means at the time of wuzu. But ma kulli salatin that clearly shows at the time of salah, right? So that will be Imam Shafi rahmahullah strengthen Imam Shafi's dalil. Right. Nevertheless, we find that the virtues of miswak, astiwaku mitharatun lil fammi, mirdatun lil rabb. Miswak here cleanses the mouth and it makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy. Salatun bisiwakin afdalu min sab'ina salatan bighairi siwakin. Making salah after using the miswak is 7 times better than making salah without the miswak, right? And some ulama have said that the benefits of miswak are 70. And one of the benefits is to say the shahadatain when one passes away. Contrary to opium now. Opium, in other words, drugs. You understand? If you take drugs, then they say there's 70 harms to drugs. And one of the harms is that you forget shahadat at the time of maut. Right. Let's see. Okay. وبه قال حدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد عن سفيان عن ابي الزناد عن العاجي عن ابي هريره رضي الله عنه يرفع قال لولا ان اشق على المؤمنين لامرتهم بتاخير العشاء وبالسواك عند كل مره. Then Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, he makes it marfu to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, if I did not want to make it difficult upon the believers, I would have commanded them to delay the Isha and to make miswak at the time of every salah. All right. So here now, so the one point we learn from this hadith is the delaying of the Isha. So this year now, the Shafi and Malikiya, they are of the opinion that it's afdal, right? In fact, according to them, you have the cause of hastening the Isha as being afdal and cause of delaying the Isha as being afdal. However, the mashhur mazhab of the Shafiyas is that you hasten the Isha is better, right? And the Hanafiya, they have the mashhur qawl here that to delay the Isha is preferable. However, Imam Tahawi rahmallah says it is in winter it is mustahab to delay the Isha, and in summer it is mustahab to hasten the Isha. Right. The other masala that comes out of this hadith here is the Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Did he have the right to make ijtihad? You know, the mujtahideen make ijtihad, the imams make ijtihad, they derive maslas. So does he also have this? So the correct view is that Nabi Akram had the right to make ijtihad, whether it is got a law, whether it is concerning a law of deen, or in any other matter, he had the right to make ijtihad. Right. وبه قال حدثنا ابراهيم بن موسى قال حدثنا عيسى بن يونس قال حدثنا محمد بن اسحاق محمد بن ابراهيم التيمي عن ابي سلمة بن عبد الرحمن عن زيد بن خالد الجهني قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا اشك على امتي لامرتم بالسواك عند كل صلاه. قال ابو سلمة فرايت زيدا يجلس في المسجد وان السواك من اذنه موضع القلم من اذن الكاتب فكلما قام الى الصلاه استاك. Narrated from Khalid al-Junahi, Zayd ibn Khalid al-Juhani. So I heard Nabi Akram saying, if I not want to make it difficult of my ummah, I would have ordered them with miswak at the time of every salat. Abu Salma says, then I saw Zayd al-Khalid al-Juhani, the same narrator of the hadith, sitting in the masjid, and the miswak was on his ear, the place of the pin from the ear of the scribe. You understand? Now they put their pins on the ears, right? So every time you would stand up to salah, you would use the miswak, right? So this hadith here is a proof for Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayh, and then we say this was his the Sahabis own amal, and in fact the fact that it was mentioned like this shows that this was something he was doing himself, because there's no other riwayats to show other Sahaba Ikram doing the same. Right. وبه قال حدثنا محمد بن أوف الطائي قال حدثنا أحمد بن خالد قال حدثنا محمد بن إسحاق محمد بن يحيى بن حبان أن عبد الله بن عمر قال قلت أرأيت توضي ابن عمر لكل صلاة طاهرا أو غير طاهر عما ذاك؟ فقال حدثتني أسماء بنت زيد بن الخطاب أن عبد الله بن حنزلة بن أبي عامر حدث أن رسول الله أمر بالوضوء لكل صلاة طاهرا أو غير طاهر، فلما شق ذلك عليه أمر بالسواك لكل صلاة. كان ابن عمر يرى أن به قوة فكان لا يدعو الوضوء لكل صلاة. قال أبو داود إبراهيم بن سعد رواه عن محمد بن إسحاق قال عبيد الله بن عبد الله. Right. Related from Abdullah ibn Umar. He said, I said, why do you feel, why do you, or what do you know about the making wuzu of Ibn Umar for every salah? Why is he making wuzu for every salah? Whether he's got wuzu or he's got don't have wuzu, why is that? So he said that Asma, the daughter of Zayd ibn Khattab, narrated to me that Abdullah ibn Hanzala ibn Amir narrated to her that Nabi Karim was commanded to wuzu for every salat, whether he had wuzu, whether he didn't have wuzu. And when that became difficult upon him, he was commanded with miswak for every salat. So Ibn Umar, he saw that he had strength, so he never used to leave wuzu for every salat. Imam Buddha Rahman said, Ibrahim ibn Sa'd narrates it from Muhammad ibn Ishaq, and he says, Ubaidullah bin Abdullah. Right. So they mentioning here that this is the reason why Abdullah ibn Umar would make wuzu for every salah, whether he got wuzu, whether he didn't have wuzu, because of this hadith here that Nabi Karim was also commanded to do that. And when it became difficult, he was commanded to make miswak, but not wuzu for every salah. So there's another reason also why we would say that Abdullah ibn Umar would make wuzu for every salah would be the hadith man tawadda ala tuhrin kutiba lahu asharu hasanatin. Whoever makes wuzu while he got wuzu, then 10 good deeds are mentioned for him. Right. Qala Abu Dawud Ibrahim ibn Sa'd. Right. So here Musannif Rahmanullah says now, if you look at the previous sanad day, the student of Muhammad ibn Ishaq was Ahmad ibn Khalid. See if you can locate it in the first sanad, right? And then the second student here is Ibrahim ibn Sa'd. He also narrates this hadith from Muhammad ibn Ishaq, right? So the difference between the two sanads is in the riwayat, the first riwayat, Ahmad ibn Khalid's riwayat, right? That Muhammad ibn Yahya is asking this question from Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar, right? In other words, Abdullah ibn Umar's son, whose name is Abdullah, and Ibrahim bin Sa'd in his riwayat is narrating from the other son, whose name is Ubaidullah. You understood it? You saw the difference there? So you say, you wrote there what he says, called Ubaidullah bin Abdullah. So Abdullah ibn Umar was the son of Umar radiallahu anhu, right? Had two, in this case, he's got, in the year he's got shows two sons, right? One is Abdullah ibn Umar, one is Abdullah bin Abdullah ibn Umar, and the other one is Ubaidullah bin Abdullah ibn Umar. You got that? Right. Babu Kaifa Yustaku. The chapter of how miswak should be made. Right. So for what we're going to learn from this hadith is coming now is that miswak is not only for the teeth, but it's also for the tongue, right? And then how you hold the miswak, that will also be explained, right? Then what is the length of the miswak? The one hand span, and what is the thickness of a finger, right? Right. وبيقول حدث مسدد وسليمان بن داود العتقي والمعنى. المعنى would mean they both two stars here. The words might differ, but the meaning is the same. قال حدثنا حماد بن زيد غيلان بن جرير عن ابي برده النبي قال مسدد قال اتينا the words are slightly changed. قال اتينا رسول الله نستحمله فرأيته يستاك على لسانه. قال ابو داود وقال سليمان the other ustad قال دخلت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو يستاك وقد وضع السواك على طرف لسانه ويقول يعني يتهوع. قال ابو داود قال مسدد كان حديثا طويلا اختصرته. Right. So Musaddad, the one who starts, says that we came to Nabi Karim seeking conveyance from him. So I saw him making miswak on his tongue. Abu Dawud Rahman says that Al Ustad Sulaiman says, I entered upon Nabi Karim and he was making miswak, right? And he had put the miswak on the tip of his tongue and he was saying, meaning he was making the sound of a person who wants to vomit. Imam Abu Dawud says that the one who started Musaddad says this hadith was long, I've made it short. All right. So what's the meaning of uhu yatahawwa means that sound you make when you want to vomit. You understand it? And when you put towards the end of the tongue there, then you find that you feel like you want to vomit. So the one riwayat also in Bukhari say, right? Alif Ain with a patient alif, right? And Nasawi is saying right? And the other right? So there's no real contradiction in all these words here because they all come from close makhraj. You understand it? They all around the same makhraj, right? Now Imam Bud Rahman, he mentions this hadith here, right? And he says, Nastahmilu. They came to seek conveyance. They were looking for conveyance. However, in Sahihain, in like that, in the one riwayat of Nasai, they say that this the riwayat regarding the miswak on the tongue there, that is not when they came to seek for conveyance, rather is when Hazrat Abu Musa al-Ashari he came to Nabi Akram and with him was two men from the tribe of Ashar, right? And one of them, when they came there, they asked to be a governor. So it's not nasta'milu it should be. So they say Imam Bawda Rahmah made a mistake here. There is a riwayat, right? Where they came to seek for a conveyance. And that riwayat is that at the Battle of Tabuk, when Nabi Akram was on the Safar, then while she was on the Safar and some Sahaba came and they asked for conveyance. And Nabi Akram then, for some reason, he got angry. And then he said, Wallahi la ahmilukum. Wallah, I will not carry you. I won't give you any conveyance. And then the narrator, afterwards, in Nabi Akram, when there were some camels that came, he sent it to them. All right. Babun fi rajuli yastaku bi siwaki ghairi. The chapter in regards to a man who makes miswak, who uses the miswak, who uses miswak with somebody else's miswak. So here this chapter is now telling us, can you use somebody else's miswak, yes or no? So from the hadith, we understand that you can use it. Like that, the general principle behind using somebody else's stuff is that you need his permission, whether it's direct permission or whether by indication, you're going to use this man's pen now, right? So you ask him, can I use your pen? right? So there's direct permission. The other is, every time you're using his pen, he doesn't by your own mind, then that would be dalalatan, permission, right? So according to Jamhur, there's no karahat here for using somebody else's miswak. Hakim Tirmizi says it's makruh, right? And in the fatwa kitab is mentioned that three things is general amongst the public, which is just on their tongues, but it's not correct, right? What is it? That you mustn't use somebody else's comb, you mustn't use somebody else's turma stick, and you mustn't use somebody else's miswak. This is not correct, right? However, yes, there is something that's called a tab'i karahat, which means a natural dislike. You find it difficult to use somebody else's miswak. You understand it? Or somebody else finds it difficult that you must use his miswak. That's a natural dislike. That is something else, right? وبي قال حدثنا محمد بن إسحاق قال حدثنا عن بسر بن الواحدي عن هشام بن عروة نبينا عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يستن وعنده رجلان أحدهما أكبر أكثر أو أكبر من الآخر فأوحي إليه في فضل السواك أن كبر أعطي السواك أكبرهما قال أحمد بن حزم قال لنا أبو سعيد وابن العربي هذا مما تفرد به أهل المدينة. And from Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that Nabi Akram was making miswak, and by him there were two men. One of them was older than the other, so it was revealed to him that give this miswak to the bigger one. That is, give the miswak to the bigger of the two. Ahmad ibn Hazm says that Abu Sa'id said to us, and this is Abu Sa'id ibn Arabi. The rest hadith is from that which the Ahl Medina are alone with. In other words, all the narrators are Madanis. They are all Ahl Medina. So why Nabi Akram it was revealed to him that give it to the bigger of the two, because maybe he wanted to give it to the smaller one, either because he was the smaller of the two, either because he was closer, or either because he was on the right hand side. Nevertheless, if you look at this hadith, shows you al-akbar fal-akbar. Give the elder one first. And then other hadiths shows you, and there's a hadith also of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, that he was sitting on the right and Khalid ibn Walid was on the left. And Nabi Akram drank from the milk, and then after he told Ibn Abbas that it is your right because you're on the right. But Khalid, if you give permission, I will give it to Khalid ibn Walid first. So he says, no, I will not give preference to your leftovers to anyone. So I want my right first. I want to drink your leftovers first. Right. So from here now you get the usul that al-ayman fal-ayman. The ones on the right got the first right. Right. So they say here now is that this is when the people are sitting in sequence. You've got the right and you've got the left. If people are sitting haphazard, then you give akbar fal-akbar. But if they're sitting in sequence, then you give al-ayman fal-ayman. Right. Babu Ghasli Siwaki. The chapter of washing the miswak. Right. وبيقول حدثنا محمد بن بشار قال حدثنا محمد بن عبد الله الأنصاري قال حدثنا عنبسة بن سعيد الكوفي الحاسبي قال حدثنا كثير عن عائشة أنها قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يستاك فيعطيني سواك لأغسله فأبدأ به فأستاكه ثم أغسله وأدفعه إليه. And from Aisha radiallahu anha said Nabi would make the miswak, then he would give me the miswak so that I may wash it. Then I would I would take it and I would start with it and I would make miswak, then I would wash it and I would give to him. Right. Right. So this is clear here that Aisha radiallahu anha, right, she would now make the khidmat of Nabi Akram. So this comes to the masla of khidmatul zawja li zawj. Right. So the Shafi mazhab says that the wife doesn't have to do the khidmat of the husband. The transaction is got to do of nikah is got to do with jima and wati, and not with khidmat. Ahnaf says qada'an, it is not wajib. In other words, if she doesn't do your khidmat, you can't take her to court. But tiyanatan between her and between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for her to make khidmat is necessary. You understand it? Then we have him, and then Imam Shami also mentioned there that if the wife doesn't do the khidmat, then the husband can also retaliate by giving her dry bread. He doesn't have to give her gravy with it. You understand it? And then the maslak of Hanabila is the same as a Hanafiya. Imam Malik Rahman says that she has to do the light types of khidmat. All khidmat is like cooking, kneading the dough. All those are light, sweeping. That is binding upon her. But heavy khidmat, that's not binding upon her. And heavy khidmat is like crushing and weaving and all that. You understand? Heavy khidmat, leave it till there.